Thank you, Natalie. Yes, so when we talk about storm surge, it's very important that we know the tide times as well. So recapping everything here, here's Tropical Storm Debby. We are expecting it to strengthen to a Category 1 storm. But let's go over the tide times because the highest tide is very important when we're talking storm surge. And it's going to be a higher tide than normal anyway because we have a new moon that's taking place tomorrow morning at 7:13. So that's going to increase that tide even more. But for Tampa, 5 o'clock in the morning and then again at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is when we have the highest tides. St. Petersburg just before 5 a.m. and then 2 p.m. again for that second round of high tide. 1:30 in the morning tomorrow morning for Clearwater, and then going into tomorrow afternoon just around noon will be that second high tide for Clearwater, and then finally, Crystal River, 5:31 for that first high tide. Second high tide is going to be just before 5 p.m. So these areas really pay attention to that because if you're in a flood-prone area, you need to watch where the storm is and pay attention to the tide because that will increase your likelihood of seeing some flooding, especially if you're a flood-prone area. So again, Debby, local impacts here, Citrus, Hernando, Pasco County. The timing from tomorrow around noon, lunchtime, up until we're doing 24-hour timing here Monday at noon. Now, this time window could change. Keep that in mind. Winds will have anywhere from 40 to 60 mile per hour winds. Rain 6 to 12 inches, and then we also have that threat for storm surge. This is the area where the storm surge threat is the highest. And again, keep in mind those tide times. Pasco County a little bit further to the south there, so they have that 2 to 4 foot storm surge threat. Need to know, make sure you have your phone on to those alerts, whether it be the 10 Tampa Bay app or whatever source you may be using. A weather radio works great too. We do have a tropical storm warning for that area highlighted in blue. Now we're moving down to Pinellas and Hillsborough County. Much of the same impacts, maybe a little bit less here. Winds are 40 to 55 miles per hour. Rain 5 to 10 inches we're looking at, and the surge is 2 to 4 feet. The timing is a little bit earlier than what we just saw around the Nature Coast, Citrus County, because the storm just on the direction, it's going to be to the west of Pinellas, Hillsborough County. We're really looking at tomorrow afternoon, but we pushed it to tomorrow morning. We'll start having the impacts because of those outer bands, as we just explained. And there's also a tropical storm warning for Hillsborough and Pinellas County as well. Manatee and Sarasota County, of course, this is the furthest southern point. 7 a.m. tomorrow to Monday, 7 a.m. Impact winds 40 to 50 miles per hour, rain 4 to 8 inches, and surge 2 to 4 feet. Now, a lot of you may wonder, well, why are certain areas going to see less storm surge? Well, one of that has to do with the tides that we just went over, but also keep in mind the way that the peninsula is shaped. It kind of has that little bend, right? And the storm is traveling out to the west. So it will be a couple hundred miles out to the west to start, and then it kind of gets a little bit closer to the coast as it moves towards landfall. And as Natalie Ferrari just explained, we're looking at landfall, estimating it to be around the Big Bend region tomorrow. So again, going into the local impacts here, now we're looking at Polk, Hardy, DeSoto, and Highlands County, 10 a.m. tomorrow to Monday, 10 a.m. Of course, this is entering towards a peak of hurricane season. Don't forget that. We always want you to be prepared. And although this is a tropical storm, we could see this strengthen to a Cat 1 hurricane. Now, stay tuned because we're going to have the latest updates. We have an extra show tonight just so we can keep you posted. We have our next advisory that's coming out at 11, and we want to show you the 7-day forecast as well.